suggest if we could curtail them to about 4 minutes, because I have to take the Minister in at 10:25.
Can I share my time just the last minute or so with Minister Madigan? Is that okay? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a matter for yourself.
Yeah, thank you. So as someone who is a member of the Oireachtas Committee on the 8th Amendment, I'm particularly pleased to speak on this debate this morning. This referendum for me wasn't about winning or losing, though that is the obvious outcome of such referendums. It was more about an acknowledgement of how informed debate can change society, how the expert, and I stress expert evidence given to the Citizens' Assembly and then the Oireachtas Committee changed people's perceptions and minds. It also showed what politicians can achieve when they leave their biases outside the door of a committee room and agree to do what is best for the women of Ireland, no matter how much that might conflict with a previously stated position. I think we in this House have to learn a valuable lesson from this referendum. The lesson is not to dismiss every suggestion that arises because of some intrinsic bias that we hold. The lesson is to listen more and speak less. The lesson is to gather and analyse the evidence and respond accordingly. That is exactly what happened in this particular case, and look what has happened. While I would like to thank my colleagues on the committee, they will excuse me if I reserve the vast majority of thanks and praise for our citizens. These are the people, men and women, but mostly women, who have worked for this result for decades. I want to praise those who showed huge bravery by telling their own personal and very intimate stories. Stories that resonated with people up and down the country. Stories that were communicated to people as they canvassed house to house. Stories people remembered and translated into a yes vote in the ballot box. I also want to thank the Together for Yes campaign, who did Trojan work on the ground, who were so well informed and such an impressive group who worked tirelessly on this campaign. As a TD for Galway West and South Mayo, I have to mention Savita Halapanavar. No matter how people tried to spin it, the expert evidence is that the 8th Amendment was most definitely a contributing factor to her death. Professor Aru Kumaran, who conducted the case review, gave clear and concise evidence to the committee in that regard. I want to acknowledge Savita today and to also thank her family for their dignified contributions to this referendum debate. I want to acknowledge the clear leadership given by our Minister for Health, Simon Harris. And while I'm not holding up a sign declaring my undying love, I think all sides of the House would agree that the Minister deserves great praise for the understanding and compassion he showed for women in crisis pregnancies. I also want to thank our Taoiseach, our former Taoiseach, Enda Kenny, who originally agreed to set up the Citizens' Assembly, which I feel was invaluable to this process, and our current Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, who since he became Taoiseach at all times supported this referendum going to the people. Good